Hello, Craig and Kelly. My name is Pat Stino, and I'm one of the construction managers here at Anthem for Epic. And today we're going to be doing a virtual pre-drywall walkthrough. Today is Tuesday, May 5th, and we'll talk a little bit more about upcoming schedules as we get through this process. We're going to do the outside first, talk about the outside, then we'll go inside the house, and we'll be going room by room to look at all electrical, low volt, and other options that you've selected in the house, and hopefully I won't miss anything. But we're going to start off today on the outside, and Craig and Kelly, I've got this pre-drywall walkthrough list that I'm going to be going through all of these items today. We're going to talk about grading and drainage, the gutters and downspouts they'll be going on, the elevations, the window grids, the electrical options and standard locations, low volt and security options, the plumbing, the mechanical, and then the projected schedule. So with that said, one of the things that you should have, and if you don't, I'd like you to contact Kyle and ask him to send it to you, and that's what's called a plot plan. And this shows your house sitting on the lot. It shows the footprint outlined in dark lines and the garage and the driveway. But what this mainly is for your use is there's a lot of data and information on here. There's a legend on the bottom right which tells you what things are, but mainly for grading and drainage. And your landscaper will need this, or you will need this if you're going to do your own landscaping. And how this arrows show me direction of water and how I need to grade your lot. And you need to maintain those areas of drainage just as this shows. So when we're all finished with your house, you will get a certification of this document that we have built accordingly. And but this is a good working document for you to use. It gives you distances, gives you sizes, so that you can look at your landscaping design. So with that said, there's a lot of information on here. Like I said, some of the things, just to give you an idea, there's house data here in the center. Another thing that civil engineers do is they use tenths of feet, not feet and inches. So elevations are going to be like 22.5, or dimensions are going to be 20.5, which would be 20 feet 6 inches, just for example. So this shows that this is lot number 55. Your address is down here, 3344 West 154th Place. In the center here, this gives me a top of foundation elevation and a finished floor elevation of 91. Those are real elevations. So for example, when you're sitting at or standing in your kitchen, you will be standing at 5,291.1 feet above sea level. So those are real elevations. All of the circles or X's are elevations. So 88.5, it gives us a drainage of 12% grade. Then there are spot elevations around the house. But this all shows you the direction. The arrows show you direction of water. So that's how things are going to grade. In the rear, on the side, that'd be the southwest side, is the high point of the lot, and that's kind of where we split drainage, coming forward on the west side and then around the back into the forward at the corner. So it also shows on here where the sewer and water mains are coming in from the street into the house. There's also an under drain which is tied into the city storm system, and we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get into the basement. So with that said, you have purchased what I call a 3498 plan, or what we call as a 3498, and it is a modern prairie elevation. And on the modern prairie elevation, there are no window grids. So you'll see other homes around, depending on the elevation of the home, dictates the style and the quantity of grids on windows. Yours are totally clear. The modern prairie, just like the model, is no window grids. Everything that you see, we have all siding installed other than soffits and posts, and those get installed after our inspections. This week, May 4th through the 8th, we are in rough inspection stages. We've started with third-party inspections. We have city inspections today, tomorrow. We'll be insulating this week, and if all goes well, we'll be stocking drywall at the end of this week. and that puts us on about a 90-day timeline from stocking drywall to finish, just to give you a gauge. So that's our projection right now. It's about 90 days out, plus or minus. But Kyle will be giving you weekly updates here forward, we'll see how things, as we move through stages, we update schedule every week. So things are a little bit in flux until we get to cabinet stage. There's some room for error, and we're also experiencing, some minor setbacks in the social distancing with our crews. We only allow one contractor in the house at a time. For example, only one framer, or just the plumbing contractor, or just the electrical contractor. So when we get to insulation, it'll be just insulating going on. And then drywall follows that, and drywall has the house for a good 10 days and no one else is in the house. So we're social distancing our contractors through this process, which adds a few days, but I'd rather have your house finish a few days later than anticipated than have someone suffer the effects of the COVID-19. So with that said, on the outside of the home, we'll look at the electrical options that you've chosen as we move around. But all of the siding is installed. We've got the roof stocked, and everything that you see is still green sheathed. That is our wall sheathing, our energy sheathing, and that gets some type of masonry application, whether it be stucco or stone. And your house has both stucco and stone. I'm looking at scheduling. We're about 8 days away from starting the scaffolding work and the stone work. We will be installing lath coming up here in the next 7 days. But we've got several sets of scaffolding around the job, but as we finish one, we move that scaffold set to your house. So I'm about 7 days from scaffolding your house for stucco. And so as we move around, here's the front. I'm going to point out a couple of electrical options that you've selected. And pardon me while I go through some sheets as we move through this process. I've got a little paper to manage along with myself. So on the outside, you have requested a couple of exterior outlets, and just because of the time of day it is, we're going to move around to the west side, come around so the sun is always behind my partner's back here, Craig. And so in the front here, we've got standard coach lights, 3 coach lights across the front. We'll move around and we'll see the options as we go. On the west side of the house is where the electrical panel lives. This is the gas meter, main gas coming into the house. So again, this all gets some type of masonry application. As we move to the rear, you will see the main electrical service panel. This is where our services come into the house. These orange pipes are what we call low volt or CenturyLink, Xfinity, and those are coming back from the rear pedestal area. That's where your main power comes underground and into the house. Also the low volt. The short pedestals are the Comcast, the the Xfinity. That's what the smaller pedestals are. So these wires coming out of the house here, this is all low volt. So this is cable and data connect. There will be what's called a demarc here, or demarc station here, where everything connects, and then it goes to the sub panel in the house, which we'll look at when we get to the basement. So this is your main low volt coming into the house and main high volt coming into the house. As we move around the back, you've opted for the extended outdoor room, and that's built here. You also see this basement window, and there will be a metal grate put on there so that there's no chance of someone stepping off of the patio and falling into that window well. We will have a metal grate on that window well. Selected for a gas barbecue location, and that is this right here. We've got an electrical service, just a waterproof outlet. In the ceiling, or the patio cover, we've got several things going on here. We've got recessed cans. We've got ceiling fan pre-wire, and we've centered those. We've got speaker locations, low volt speaker locations for your request. So we have 2 ceiling fan pre-wires centered in each of the bays. Also 8 recessed cans. 2, 4, 6 recessed cans. Yes, 6 recessed cans according to the electrical mini, gas location. You've also requested a waterproof outlet in the ceiling, and that's this here. That's your waterproof outlet option. Also another electrical outlet, waterproof electrical outlet on this side of the sliding patio door. And that's 12-foot center meet, we call that. So both panels close in the center. As we move around to the east side of the house, this is a little bit of a step down. Now our grade here will be coming up just below this, what we call the grade beam here. So our finished grade will be coming off of here and going to the swale in the yard, just as I was pointing out on the plot plan. So as we come around to the east side, we've requested another optional outlet, which is located right here. The basement window out. This indentation or recessed area is where the air conditioning condensing units are set and connected. So all of these lines are for air conditioning. This is the electric service for the air conditioning and a service outlet. These are the vents for water heater and furnace.
You got another high one, high up here also.
On the back corner, I've missed, but thank you, Craig.
Sure.
We've got a low volt that you have requested here, and that is a camera pre-wire at 9 foot off of the patio, and that's what that one is up there. So there's your camera pre-wire. Thank you, Craig.
Mm-hmm.
As we continue to move toward the front, this pipe coming out of the wall here is the sprinkler or irrigation line. There'll be a vacuum breaker here, and this is where your valve box will sit for landscape irrigation. The boxes that we set are capable of landscaping quite an area, so they're able to expand. Plenty of water and plenty of expansion available in the valve box. We've got a hose bib. Exterior faucet. This is a sump discharge from the sump pit in the basement, which I'll show you. And then this is an optional electrical outlet here as well, a waterproof outlet. As we move around to the front porch, you'll also see we've got an electrical service outlet here, off to the side of the window. In the front entry, there also is another electrical service waterproof outlet on the sidewall. And recessed cans in the front porch soffit. And after inspection is when all of this closes up. The electrical inspector and the framing inspectors need to look at everything before we cover it up. So that process, as I mentioned, happens this week, and then probably next week we will be closing all soffits. The back patio, this soffit, the uppers, and we'll look at those as we go through the house. So this is everything on the exterior, and we're going to pick up on the inside of the garages here in a moment. Okay, here we are in the 3-stall garage, and you haven't requested any additional electrical options, but I want to point out what we do have as standard in the garage, and that is all 4 walls have service outlets. So this is on the front porch wall. We've got an electrical service. Over on the outside wall, we've got electrical service. And you may wonder as you're walking, and you probably wondered what this is. This is called a CCE, or a concrete encased CEE, concrete encased electrode. That is a grounding rod for the electrical system in your house. We have 2 methods in every house for grounding, and this is one of them. This piece of rebar goes all the way down through the footing of the foundation, and electrical ground wire comes from the service panel to this. The other method of grounding we use is to the main water service line. So all of the copper water line underneath, you have a 1-inch service line underground. we ground to that as well. So we have two means of electrical grounding your house. I'll show you those grounding wires when we get to the basement. From your water tree, that's called our bond, and then our CEE, our concrete encased electrode grounding. Power outlet. We got our gas line coming through, our main gas line comes through. That's what this little box is. We box around that. We also use it for a little electrical chase now and again. So then we've got gas going up. Now everything in this garage, all of the ceiling and the house walls insulate. And I'm going to frantically look at your option list, bear with me, to see if you have selected another option. And you have not. What I was looking for was to see if you have requested insulate and finish your garage. And I do not see that option listed. I'm reading your option list, which you have a copy of, I'm sure. I've got nothing on the side. You know, there's no pricing. I don't see any pricing. It's just units of measure and the options themselves. And I do not see full finished garage. So in that event, all of this ceiling, anything in the living space will all insulate. The ceiling will fully insulate. The house walls will fully insulate around the perimeter of the garage. The exterior wall will not. And then any drops we have also will insulate in the garage. So no low volt options in the garage and no high volt options in the garage. So this is what we call the homeowner's entry, the owner's entry from the garage into back hall, so to speak. We have switches on the wall here. These are two switches. One is a three-way switch for the coach lights out front of the garage, and the other end of that three-way is at the front entry. So you can operate the exterior coach lights on the front of the garages from here or the front entry. The other is for the interior lights. Also in the garage, we do have power for garage door openers. We pre-wire for low volt. So this is the low volt for garage door openers, and they go to the locations where openers would install. So here we are at the owner's entry, and as we come in, we're gonna move right around. So we have the switches for inside and outside. You've got a keypad location, low volt pre-wire for security. We also have two switches here. One is for the interior recessed cans in this owner entry, and the other is for moving into the kitchen area, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. But here we are in the owner's entry, and got coat closet, move into pantry, got an optional electrical outlet in the pantry, switch on the inside for recessed can. This is, I would call this the butler's pantry, for lack of a better term. And on this wall, we have, you've requested horizontal outlets. We've got a desk pre-wire for Cat 6, and on the low volt page, bear with me, it's called the PH6, yes. And that is, according to the legend, PH6 is a Cat 6 pre-wire at a desk location. So you must be having a desk here. We've got cabinetry and horizontal outlets. We've got under cabinet light sets with these we call them whips. So this we leave extra long wire. After the cabinets go up, then these electrical wires connect to the under cabinet lights. We've got microwave here and under cabinet light. This is the switch for the under cabinet lights for this area. So we're going to move back to the owner's entry before we go into the kitchen. And I'm going to talk a little bit about standard electrical switching here. And as we enter a room, we wire very logically. As we enter a room, there's always a switch to turn a light on ahead of yourself. When you leave a room, there's a switch to turn light off behind yourself. So I call these walkway lights, I call them travelers. As I'm traveling through an area, I can turn a light on ahead of myself, and as I leave the area, this is the three-way here, I can turn the light off behind myself. As we enter this area, we've got under cabinet lights. The kitchen lights are switched from this side on the three-way, so that's why I wanted to start over here. We've got a three-way switch to turn off the travelers behind yourself, and a three-way switch to turn the travelers on ahead of yourself as we enter the kitchen area. So here we are in, this is the butler's pantry. I kind of call both of them that. But in the butler's pantry, you requested, we've got an under-counter fridge outlet here. We've got horizontal outlets. We've got under cabinet lights. This is our double oven location. So this is our power for the oven. In the general kitchen area, so there's 3 switches over here, and one of them is for the butler pantry lights, one is for the under cabinet lights, and then another switch, you've requested 2 4-inch mini cams on either side of the range. These are the 4-inch minis, right here and right here, and that's on a separate switch at that area there. This is the wiring for our hood, our exhaust hood. This is the range location. We've got base cabinets on either side, and then you've got open shelves on either side of the hood. So thus, I believe the request for the recessed, or the mini cams, is that's why these are located here. Right out in front of edge of the countertop, just as the electrical mini shows. We've got standard recessed cams. We call this a work light over the range, and then right behind it, we've got the work light over the kitchen sink. Kitchen sink, range, peninsula, everything is centered. This is our kitchen sink area. We've got kitchen sink, we've got outlets in the cabinet, we've got dishwasher, disposal, and the disposal runs from a switch inside of that cabinet. We've got dishwasher on this side and cabinetry on this side. This is well, I call it a peninsula island, but this is the eat-in area or sit-down eating area in the kitchen area. And that gets surrounded with cabinet skins and detail, and then countertop overhang on both sides. But to move to this side of the kitchen, this is the location of the refrigerator. Also, pardon me as I step back, but on this side there's a switch for these recessed cans. There's a 3-way on the other side of the kitchen, so you can turn them off as well, depending on which side you're entering from. This is the refrigerator wall, and so we've got the refrigerator area here. This is the water connection for the refrigerator. Got horizontal outlets again per your request, and under cabinet lights. Switch for the under cabinet lights is here on the sidewall. And this is the power for the refrigerator as well. So as we move around, as I mentioned earlier, we've got the 12-foot sliding patio door here, center meet, so they open from the center to the sides and center meet. We have switches on this side of the doorway, and these are for the recessed cans outside. Also, we have ceiling fan pre-wire, 2 ceiling fan pre-wires, recessed cans, 2 sets of recessed cans. Also in the center on the low volt side, we have a volume control for the outside speakers. That's what that's for. This is the volume control for the outside speakers. Power outlet below. Could we pause? Here, I wanted to point out that around the peninsula, there's power outlets around the peninsula for service, anything you would need them for. Above, we've got 3 pendants here, which are spaced equidistant on this peninsula. Also have 2 speaker pre-wires centered, which one is on that side and one is here, per your request. And this is my back is to the grand room. I'll talk a little bit about the grand room and then we will move to the front entry. So here, I also have pre-wired here from low volt is a volume control for the speakers. So we have speakers in the ceiling. We have 4 speakers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 speaker locations. We also have a subwoofer location, which is in this back corner of the grand room down low. Service outlets around the room. Service outlets, service outlets. You have requested 4-inch mini cans on either side of the fireplace in the niches. Those are up high. The switch for those, for your request, is on this back wall over here, and I'll point that out in a moment, but I wanted to finish around this fireplace. Got a 75-inch per your request power outlet, also conduit and low volt for TV going down to the left side. On the right side of the fireplace is the switch to turn fireplace on and off. Also have a low volt, I believe that is the glass break location. This would be the glass break. So if the glass would ever break, that's for security purposes. That's a glass break sensor. Left side of fireplace is where all low volt comes in. We've got the the CP6, the HT, and the AP. We also have the conduit with Cat 6 going up to the pre-wire above the fireplace. CP6. Gas shutoff for the fireplace is on this side wall as well. So there'll be a trim ring and a key there for the gas shutoff. As I'm backing up here, we do have other service outlets around the room. Then here's the switching here. We've got 4 recessed cans in this room, so they operate independently. We've got a ceiling fan pre-wire, and then we've got the mini cans on either side of the fireplace. Plus, in every room, we install what's called a switched outlet or a half hot. So there's, I'll be stating that as we go into every room. So we've got 4 switches here. We've got recessed cans. We've got 4-inch minis on either side of the fireplace. We've got a ceiling fan pre-wire, and we've got a half hot, which is across the room. It's generally 45 degrees from where the switch is. So half of this outlet will be switched, and half will be continually hot. So if you ever want to place a lamp or something to that effect on this side of the room, there is a switch to turn that on and off. From the front foyer entering the grand room area, there's a 3-way switch to turn lights off ahead of yourself and 3-way switch to turn lights on ahead of yourself. So turning off behind from the entry and ahead of yourself going into the kitchen area. Pause. Here I am standing at your front entry in the foyer. I'm at the front door. Several things going on in this front entry here. I've got 3 switches here. One switch is, as I mentioned earlier, from the owner's entry, is the 3-way switch for the outside coach lights in front of the garage. We've got recessed cans in the front porch, and then the entry cans here in this foyer area. There's recessed cans here. Those are on a 3-way, which I'll point out to you momentarily. So here we are in the entry. Also low volt. We've got a camera location, camera pre-wire location, and wireless access point in the ceiling here per your request. So that's a low volt. As we move through this area, we've got the powder room. Inside the powder room, we've got a stool and a pedestal sink, and there's a power outlet next to the sink, but there's 2 switches in there. One is for the recessed for the light above the mirror, and one is for the fan in the powder room. In the study, as we enter the study, there are 2 switches. You've opted for 4 recessed cans in here, and there's a switch for the cans, plus there's a switch for the half hot across the room again. Service outlets around the walls, but also in the floor, you've requested a floor outlet centered, and also you've got pre-wire low volt in the floor, and you've given specific dimensions where you would like that. And that is 57 inches from this wall and 60 inches from the exterior front wall. And then we've got the power outlet centered in the room per your request, the floor outlet. So that takes care of the study. And as we move through the entry in the foyer, I want to point out a mistake I made earlier. But as we leave the foyer area, there's a switch here to turn on the center chandelier, which hangs in the stairwell. And then as you would move through the house, we've got a three-way switch to turn that entry fixture off again as you move into the kitchen area. And I made a mistake earlier. Around this corner, there are two switches. One is for the recessed cans, three-way on recessed cans. The other is for the for the island pendants. So this is where the island pendant lights are switched as well. Thermostat location, and this operates the furnace, which is located in the basement, which serves the basement and the main living level. This thermostat handles that air handler downstairs. There's a separate thermostat upstairs, which I'll point out momentarily. So as we move through, and we're going to walk up the stairs, we also have that center chandelier on a four-way switch. So you could turn it on from the entry, you could turn it off from the grand room entrance area, or at the top of the stairs. And I'll point that out momentarily. Could you pause? Here I am in the main stairwell going to the upstairs. And as we move up, I'm going to show you on the wall, we've got switches as we enter the bonus room. As I had mentioned, we've got a three-way switch for the entrance chandelier. So you could turn it on from downstairs, turn it off from the grand room area. You can also turn it on and off from up here. We also have in this switch box, this is a two-gang, we've got our travelers ahead of ourselves. So this is when we travel down the hallway. But here we are in the bonus room, and we've got three switches here for the bonus room. You have requested 4 recessed cans, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we look at every room independently. We center them as best as possible on windows so that things look very symmetrical. We've got power outlets around the room. You've also requested optional power at 66 inches on this adjoining bath wall, plus CP6 with a conduit. Also a cable pre-wire down low, and conduit coming up to that location as well. Also on the third switch, we've got a half hot across the room. So we've got recessed cans, we've got optional ceiling fan pre-wire, and we have half hot across the room, again for a lamp. So we have as we're moving down the hall, we've got, as I mentioned, the 2 switches here. One is the 3-way for the chandelier. The other is for the travelers moving through here. We'll save the master for later, but we come down the hall. So we've got our traveling lights on ahead of ourselves, recessed niche here, and we are going to move into bedroom 4. Come down the hallway. These travelers are on a 4-way switch. That means we could turn them on, we could turn them off, we could turn them on, we can turn them off from 4 different locations, and I'll show you as we keep going. So we've got 4-way for the travelers, the hall lights, and then we enter into bedroom 4. As you come into bedroom 4, there are 2 switches. One is for your optional ceiling fan pre-wire, and the other is for the half hot across the room. There are no other light fixtures in the ceiling, but we've got outlets around the room and the half hot. Also, we have the combination tub shower bathroom here. As you move into the bathroom, there are 2 switches. One is for the fan, and one turns on the light above the sink and above the tub. Tub shower combination. Also in each bedroom, we have a walk-in closet. So this is inside, there's a switch, turn on the ceiling light above. Then we're going to move back down the hallway. So we can turn lights on ahead of ourselves as we move down toward bedroom number 3. Got a linen closet in the hallway. This is the thermostat location for the upstairs furnace. So this will handle the entire upper level. And behind me is the furnace closet, which I'll point out to you momentarily. But here's the 4-way switch again, which we can turn lights off behind ourselves as we come into bedroom number 3. Into bedroom 3, again, there are 2 switches. Optional ceiling fan pre-wire centered, and a half hot across the room. Service outlets around the room, and walk-in closet with inside the door is a light switch for recess can in the closet. So as we exit bedroom 3, this is where the upstairs mechanical closet is, and that's the upstairs furnace. So this only services the second level. That'll be this. All of these details and workings will be explained to you at the new homeowner orientation, which will be about a week before closing. So all this will be shown to you and shown how things operate, but this is the upstairs air handler. So as we move down the hall again toward bedroom 2, we've got 3-way switch or 4-way switch behind us, turn the lights off behind ourselves into the bedroom. We've got 2 switches, optional ceiling fan pre-wire centered, and half hot across the room. Service outlets, and between bedrooms 2 and 3 is what they call the Jack and Jill bathroom. Switch on either side on 3 ways so you can turn lights on above the sinks from either side. We've got double lav, lights above the mirror, service outlets next to above the countertops, and then we have another tub shower combination behind with 2 switches. One is for the fan and one is for the light above the tub. So we've got stool, tub, shower, 2 means of electrical and venting. In bedroom 2, we've got walk-in closet, as I mentioned. So now we'll leave bedroom 2, come back down the hall, turn the lights on ahead of ourselves, and we're gonna go into the laundry room. Switch to turn off behind yourself, switch to turn lights on in the laundry room, which is also on a 3-way for the other entrance and exit. We've got the laundry room, laundry sink location, power outlets. You have not opted for any additional electric in the laundry room, but we've got service outlets above countertop, washer and dryer. This sleeve coming out of the floor is a drain line, and that goes all the way to the basement floor drain, which I'll show you when we get to the basement where that comes down. But we put a pan in here for you to set your washing machine into in case of any overflow or happening that it would have any leak. It'd go directly down to the basement drain. So as we leave the laundry, we've got double switches here. One's for the light, one's for the fan as well. Coming into the master closet area. So in the master closet, we've got the light switch ahead of yourself, and this is on a 3-way to turn these on ahead of yourself here. We've got heat vent lights. We do have power service outlets in the closets, both sides. Also in the entrance area to the master closet is located the attic access. This is where you would enter for any type of service or work that you would need to do in the attic. There is a light and a power source up there. The power source can be used for service, or if you choose to install some type of fan at a later date, there's a power source there for a fan. So attic access is located in the master closet area. As we move into the master bedroom area, there are 3 switches on the wall here, and we have a 3-way switch. Excuse me. We have a switch for the half hot across the room. We have a ceiling fan pre-wire, and then the switch for the traveling lights in the entry area to the master suite. So I consider this the entrance to the master suite is a 3-way switch. You would turn off lights behind yourself in the hallway, ahead for the travelers, and then the switch to turn off behind yourself. Power outlets around the room. No other than on this wall here, you requested at 72 inches of power outlet. We also have CP6 and cable pre-wired and a conduit coming up to that same location. I'm going to check the low volt area. I'll point out to you the wireless access point when we get back outside of the master. So as we move into the master bathroom, as you come in, there are switches on your right, and we have 4 switches. coming into the bathroom area. We've got lights above the lavs. We've got lights above the recessed can above the freestanding tub. We have lights in the shower, and we have a fan switch. So recessed cans, there's no additional recessed cans that you've requested, but you can see we've got 2 in the shower, 1 centered over the freestanding tub, and then general lighting in the center, and lights above both vanities. You've also requested this outlet centered between the lavs, and you've requested that to be at 72 inches. So no, I take that back. This is middle of counter, horizontal on wall, and that dimension was given as well. So this is that optional. I believe you are not going to be doing any mirrors, and you're going to do something else, but you requested this outlet here. There's also service outlets on either side above each lav on the ends. Double lav. Master shower. This is the diverter valve here for the shower. We've got the shower up at 84 inches, which I'm rather tall, so we like to place them all at 84 inches to make sure that they'll service just about anyone. Unless there's a specific request to go higher, we place everything at 84 inches. As we leave the master stool room is here behind closed door. Door swings in. There are 2 switches inside the stool room. One is for fan, one is for light. As we leave the master suite area, in this foyer or hallway, I forgot to point out the wireless access point earlier, which is located here per your request. And I believe that takes care of everything on the upper level. We are going to stop and we're going to move to the basement. Okay, here I am coming down the basement stairs, and there's a switch right inside that door, the basement door, to turn lights on. Under each landing, there's a recessed can for lights going down the stairwell. I'm going to walk down, and my partner will follow me into the unfinished area. So we've got a light ahead of me, down, and then we got a switch to turn those lights on off behind yourself, and a switch to turn lights on ahead of yourself. So here we are in the basement entry area, and right where my partner is standing, we have removed the closet per your request here. We have power outlet low, and the 3-way switch to turn off lights behind yourself as you're traveling through. We're going to go into this rear unfinished space. There's a door here. Inside the door, there's a light switch for 2 ceiling fixtures, 2 ceiling lights in here. But this is the unfinished area. This is what we call, this is where the main sewer and water come into your house. Main sewer inlet and main water inlet. This is what we call the water tree. What we have here is, I had mentioned earlier when we were in the garage about our second means of bonding. This is our other electrical grounding, which connects to the underground water going all the way to the street. And it comes, we also bond around the pressure reducing valve so that if this ever needs to be pulled out, you would never lose your electrical bonding. We've got main shutoff valve with a drain. This is the sprinkler tee going to the outside for the irrigation. And this is an anti-hammer device. So that if sometimes in the sprinkler systems a little air gets in the lines, well, this will prevent any pounding or knocking or rattling in the pipes if air ever gets in there. But main shutoff plus a drain valve for the sprinkler tee. We've got our pressure regulating valve and main shutoff. So that isolates with these 2 shutoffs, and so this is your main house shut off area. Sewer, main sewer, and that is a clean out where that orange, that's a test cap on there, but that'll be a cap on there, and that if you would ever have the need to run a snake or roto-rooter, that's an access point going all the way to the street, to the sewer connection. In this back corner, in this unfinished area, this is our sump pump ejection pipe. This is our sump pit, and we install a sump pump in there, and we connect it all. This is the power outlet for the sump pump. This is, we run a complete interior perimeter drain system through the basement, and everything comes to this sump location. It all gravity feeds to here. So in the event there would ever be enough precipitation outside that water would get down that low, it'd go underneath the footings, seep into the drain system, and then we'd eject it back outside. If there's ever any percolated water coming up through the ground, that would also collect in the interior drain system and drain into the sump pit. This is a vapor pipe that we install, and that is on top of the interior drain system. It connects to the top of that drain pipe. So if any vapor or gases come through the soil, gravity evacs through the roof. This pipe goes all the way up through the roof. And if you would ever choose to install a fan on this line, you can do that in the attic, thus the additional power source up in the attic, so that if you ever would need to or choose or want to put a fan system on there, that is available in the attic. So this is our vapor vent pipe going all the way up through the roof. So now we're going to move into the other unfinished area, which is where the furnaces and water heater location is. So coming through the hall, enter into the mechanical room, light switch on the wall to enter. This is the furnace and air handler for the basement and the main living level. That's what this services. We've got power source, we've got a vent to the drain system. You'll see pipes leading to this drain here in the floor. One of those is all the way from the laundry pan on that second floor I mentioned in the laundry room, comes all the way down. We also have a drain pipe from the mechanical room on the second floor, so that the condensate water from the air conditioning can drain all the way down to the floor drain. The third pipe is for this condensate drain on this furnace. Got the standard water heater. This is the mixing valve. This is the main shutoff. We don't have the water heater connected yet, but we do have it looped and we do have it on test for inspections this week. That's why this is this way, but this will connect to the top of the water heater. This is main gas coming in, shut off to the furnace, shut off to the water heater, and this will all be explained to you in greater detail at the new homeowner orientation. Back on this back wall, we've got another main sewer drop for the house. This also is on test. Another place if you would ever need to snake. Hopefully not, but another place, another optional place to access. This is a hot water anti-scald device, which we're required to put on, and this goes up and services the main bathtub, master bathtub. This is a slight regulation on temperature of the hot water going to the bathtub. So that's what this device is for. Behind me is your optional interior load center, which you've requested. And right now, the panel is empty of breakers. We've got the main disconnect outside, as I mentioned, at our service panel. That's our main disconnect. And then we got all the interior circuits located inside. Nothing's in yet, other than what we have breakered is for what we need through construction. And that's some construction power and furnace or heat we'll need through drywall. So that's the breakers that are currently installed here. Optional load center inside. Next to the load center is the low volt termination panel. We've got a 20 amp circuit going to that, and this is all of the low volt through the house comes to this location. At trim stage, the low volt company, iWired, will install the termination block in here, and they will minimally have you connected so you can receive a service from your low volt provider, whether it's Xfinity, Comcast, or whomever. That will be connected inside of here. There is a cover that goes on this panel. This is all of your security pre-wire from your glass breaks, your keypads, your WAPs, everything from the security side. This is all of the wiring coming down, and this will also terminate in this location. This is a sleeve or a conduit which goes from this location all the way up to the attic, so that in the event you would ever need to pull low volt through the attic, maybe do something in the future in one of the bedrooms or something upstairs, you do have a way to get wire from your panel all the way up into the attic and then maybe down through ceiling and or walls on that second floor. That takes care of the unfinished space. As we come into the finished space, as I had mentioned earlier, we've got a three-way switch to turn the lights off behind yourself. We've got a switch on the wall here at the wet bar. This is to turn on the lights above the wet bar. We've got three 6-inch. Now these are going to be, because of all of my ducting and beams and framing work, these are slated to be recessed cans, but many times, especially in this plan, the 3498 plan, all of my ducting and wiring that needs to go up here, we're unable to get recessed cans up in the space. So what we do is we install these boxes, which we will be installing 3 6-inch LED light fixtures. They look very close trim to the same as a recessed can. So they look the same as a recessed can, but those are going to be 6-inch LED lights coming down 2 over the counter and 1 behind, as per your request on your electrical mini. Got service outlets above the countertops. Also, you have requested through the design center that this countertop go straight through and overhang 12 inches, not have a higher 42-inch wall here, a bar top wall. Your request is to go straight through, so this is a lower wall. We have electrical pre-wire on the back side for a refrigerator. On this corner, we've got the sink location, prep for sink, and then outlets above countertop again, as I mentioned. In the rec room area, as we come around the corner here, we've got all kinds of switches here. And what we've got are recessed can light switches. We also have ceiling fan pre-wire in the center. We've got that on a dimmer switch per your request. Also half hot across the room. Your request here is to have power at 66 inches and then low volt alongside. So on the low volt mini, there had to be a discrepancy or mistake between these two. As you see here on the electrical mini, you've requested the power here at 66 inches. There are no windows because you've opted for the expanded outdoor room outside. Without that expansion, there'd be windows here. But on the low volt mini, they have drawn the conduit in the CP6 at 66 inches on this wall. Well, because of the extended patio, the window moves around the corner, so we have low volt and power on this, centered on this wall here. Low volt pre-wire here. We've got the subwoofer pre-wired in the ceiling here, per the diagram. We also have speaker pre-wires located in the ceiling on either side here and here. Those are the speaker pre-wires. We also have speaker pre-wire here. And here. Oh, this is the subwoofer, I apologize. Subwoofer. So the other switches here, I look at, in the rec room, I look at the 2 spaces as independent. I had mentioned we have, on these switches here, we've got the ceiling fan pre-wire, we've got the recessed cans on this side on a dimmer, and that's probably for viewing purposes. But also another switch, I look at this space as independent. The switch is located to turn these 4 recessed cans on, standard recessed cans. So that switch there will operate these 4 recessed cans. I also put this room or this space on a 3-way switch so that as you enter the bedroom area, you can turn those cans off behind yourself. So we've got 3 switches on, outside of this bedroom bathroom area. One is for the recessed cans, one is for the traveler ahead of yourself, and one is for a half hot across the room. We do have service outlets around this room on every wall, down low. No other low volt pre-wire in this space. But we've got a switch to turn on lights ahead of yourself. As we come into this back bathroom, you've got 2 switches inside. You've requested a shower pan in lieu of a tub. So we've got a shower here. We've got a stool and a lav, a light above the lav, and power outlet next to the lav. Got a linen closet in the hallway. And as we enter the bedroom, there are 3 switches as you enter the bedroom. One is for the ceiling fan pre-wire. The other is for light fixtures, and the other is a half hot across the room. Again, in these areas, we were unable to set recessed cans properly, so we're gonna have 4 LEDs in this room, and that's standard lighting in this room, but we're gonna have 4 6-inch LEDs. Due to gas piping and ducting, I couldn't get them symmetrical in the room, so I make that call generally when we're pre-wiring if we would move from a recessed can to an LED fixture, because they take less space, only 1.5 to 2 inches, rather than 8 inches for a recessed can. So you're gonna have 4 LED, 6-inch LED fixtures in the ceiling fan pre-wire, and half hot across the room. Got a walk-in closet. Inside the closet there's a switch for a recessed can in the center. And that pretty much sums up our basement wiring and low volt. If you see anything or hear anything, please review your documents. Make sure that I haven't missed anything. Get in touch with Kyle with any issues, questions, anything that you see or hear. So with that said, we're going to pause and we're going to move back outside to wrap this up. Wraps up our virtual pre-drywall walkthrough. As I mentioned, any questions you have, please contact Kyle. He and I are in communication on a daily basis, anything at all. And as I also mentioned, this week we're going through rough inspections and we'll be insulating, and if all goes well, we'll be stocking drywall the end of the week, no later than the first of the week. And what that means as far as schedule is, we are currently tracking or projecting, barring any major difficulties or hurdles that we have to jump over, is we're at late August, late half of August, first half of September. Now that will narrow down and we'll be able to pin that down as the next few weeks progress. But I wanted to recap again at this pre-drywall walkthrough list. We've talked about the gradage and draining, which I showed you a copy of that plot plan. If you need or want a copy of that, just have Kyle send it to you. So we talked about the grading and drainage. The gutters and downspouts are per elevation. Window grids on the modern Prairie elevation, you don't have any. The electrical locations, I showed you the main disconnect outside, the sub panels inside, also all of the switching and optional electrical items that you selected and are on your electrical mini. Low voltage and security, we looked at all of those locations according to your low volt mini that you sat with I-wired and worked on, and I believe everything's in the correct place. We talked about the plumbing fixtures and where things are, where the main water tree is, described that. The mechanical rooms, both upper and lower, we talked about those items. Change orders. Well, we're a little late to do any changes, but speak with Kyle if there's something that you really have a burning desire, maybe in a trim stage or something like that, speak with Kyle. And then our projected schedule. As I mentioned, we're at about a 90-day window from this point, 90 to 100 days, but that puts us at the August-September timeline. But that will be firmed up and probably coming forward a little bit as we move through the process. If you have any questions, again, thank you, Craig and Kelly. I look forward to meeting you soon, and have a great week.
Boom.